All right, let's jump right into this. At first glance, the story we're looking at today, Tashi and the Rainbow Spider, might look like just another quaint children's fable. But honestly, it's a complete masterclass in emotional regulation and mindfulness hiding in plain sight. It's this beautifully crafted explainer that uses really vivid imagery to tackle the exact kinds of modern anxieties and nonstop distractions you and I deal with literally every single day.
Think about it. How exactly does a deeply annoying, incredibly tiny spider teach a wannabe warrior how to wield a magic sword? I mean, it sounds ridiculous, right? But that paradox is exactly what we're unpacking today. We're going to see how our daily frustrations, the minor, everyday things that drive us absolutely up the wall, are actually our greatest teachers when it comes to finding real inner peace and focus.
So picture this. We're starting our journey sitting under a massive, spreading apricot tree. When the moon shone like a silver crescent, Yeshi, the old storyteller, returned to the village. You can just see the kids gathering around, right? And a young girl, Lolia, spins this magic wooden top to pick the night's story. It lands, and it shows three strange things: a house, a small person, and this brilliantly colored rainbow spider. Enter our main character, young Tashi. Now, Tashi has it in his head that being a brave warrior just means violently hacking at tree branches like he's holding a sword. For him, it's all about defeating whoever is in front of him. But, as you can probably guess, that kind of wild impulsivity has real-world consequences. One day, he's just swinging away, completely unchecked, and he accidentally hits and hurts his buddy Gore. And this right here perfectly sets up the core conflict of the whole explainer. Two totally different definitions of strength. Tashi thinks strength is purely external, right? Slashing branches, getting into physical combat, beating people up. But his dad? His father completely gets it. He knows true strength is totally internal. It's about paying attention, calming yourself down, and then actually using that intense focus to protect people. He recognizes that you can't have real external power without that internal calm. So to get Tashi to actually learn this vital level of focus, his parents pack him off to this very specific, very intense environment, the cave. This secluded home high up on a snowy mountain acts as a form of extreme sensory deprivation. It literally strips away every single one of Tashi's normal, everyday distractions. It becomes this high-stakes, isolated laboratory for him to finally practice some real mindfulness. But here's where it gets kind of funny, because Tashish completely misses the point. He thinks mindfulness is like a vending machine. He literally assumes the steps are: step 1, sit still in the dark cave for a few minutes, and step 2, instantly get handed this legendary, magical, protective sword his parents promised him. He just assumes parking his physical body in a cave means he'll magically and effortlessly unlock ultimate power. Well, spoiler alert, human minds do not work that way. So Tashi is sitting there totally daydreaming about how glorious his new sword is going to be, when suddenly this tiny gray-white spider just floats down from the ceiling right in front of his face. Now, the spider is doing literally nothing, but Tashi? He is so incredibly startled that his entire attempt at sitting quietly is instantly shattered. He tries to grab it, the spider jumps away, and his focus is totally shot. Let's pause for a second, because the spider isn't just a bug. It's a huge metaphor. In the context of this explainer, that little spider is the perfect external manifestation of Tashi's own internal chaos. It's his restlessness, his agitation, his total inability to let go of control. That spider is essentially a mirror, perfectly reflecting his own turbulent thoughts and his crazy impatience to just get the sword and leave. So, watch how this escalates as the days pass. On day 1, he's just mildly startled by it, but eventually, he is completely obsessing. He's constantly complaining that the spider is waving its legs and driving him mad, projecting all his anger onto a totally harmless bug and turning it into a giant mocking enemy. And finally, he snaps. He decides to bring a hunting knife into the cave to just kill the thing so he can get his sword. But of course, he runs headfirst into a trap we can call the illusion of the knife. Tashi takes a swing, he violently thrusts his knife at the spider, and his plan is a complete failure. The spider just vanishes. And this perfectly captures a really deep psychological truth. You absolutely cannot defeat mental agitation with external violence. If you try to aggressively force your mind to be calm, the distraction just ducks away for a split second, only to return. Totally defeated and super frustrated, Tashi runs crying back to his teacher. But instead of handing him a better weapon, the teacher gives Tashi pieces of colored chalk. I mean, what? Actually, the storyteller Yeshi intentionally pauses the tale right here, just to let the village kids sit with how bizarre this unexpected solution really is. The teacher's instructions are simple. Take the chalk, and just lash out at the spider whenever you get angry.
Armed with, art supplies, Tashi heads back. The spider starts swinging all around him, staring right at him with all 4 of its big spider eyes. And Tashi loses it. He simply can't stand it for another second. In a blind attack, he literally squeezes his eyes shut, grabs the colored chalk, and furiously lashes out at the spider over and over again, completely giving in to his unbridled rage.
Okay, get ready for the twist. Tashi finally stops swinging. He opens his eyes wide, fully expecting to see a totally defeated spider on the cave floor. But nope, he realizes he hasn't hit the spider at all, not even once. Instead, Tashi discovers that he is completely covered, from head to foot in wild slashes of bright-colored chalk.
Which brings us to the absolute core takeaway of this entire explainer. It's such a brilliant visual metaphor. Anger marks the vessel that holds it. When we blindly close our eyes to our own internal state, and we just project all our anger onto external annoyances, when we violently lash out at the proverbial spiders in our own lives, the only person we actually mark, the only person we truly damage, is ourselves.
The moment Tashi realizes this, an incredible transformation happens. The tiny gray-white spider suddenly grows and expands into the size of a giant man. It starts shining with these glorious, brilliant rainbow colors and reveals its real name, Manjushri. And notice, Manjushri is completely unmarked by the chalk. Seeing his own colorful chalk marks compared to this pristine, untouched giant, Tashi finally gets it. He sees his massive mistake and he bows in deep respect and true self-awareness.
And it is right then, in that exact split second of genuine calmness, humility, and self-understanding, that the magic happens. The promised sword finally materializes in the cave for Tashi. And beautifully, the blade is streaming with brilliant colored flames. It's a stunning visual echo of the colored chalk of his past blind anger. But now, that raw energy has been transformed into a focused, protective light.
Manjushri tells Tashi, the sword now belongs to him. But the ultimate lesson here is about something much bigger, the cave within. Manjushri promises Tashi that this cave will always be his home, and he can dwell there anytime he wishes. Meaning, Tashi has now completely internalized that space of deep peace. He doesn't need to physically hike up a secluded, snowy mountain anymore. He's built that calm state of mind inside himself, and he can access it anytime, anywhere.
At the very end of our tale, Tashi makes a promise. He vows that from now on, he will learn to be just as calm and peaceful as that little spider. So, as we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final, powerful question to carry with you. The next time you feel the sudden urge to lash out at some minor daily frustration, pause and ask yourself, who is really getting marked? Take that thought into your own battles, and remember where true strength actually begins.